I'm still getting this question about hell and what is hell, and people believe that hell is a place where people go and Satan goes where they can never die. They have everlasting life, but they're tormented, tortured forever and ever. Now, is this really what the Bible teaches? Not the God I know. Okay, let's start from the very beginning in Genesis. When God made the man and the woman, He gave them a commandment. From every tree of the garden thou mayest eat, but of the tree that is in the midst of the garden thou shalt not eat from it. Thou shalt not touch it, for in the day thou eat from it, thou will surely die. Yes, in Genesis 2nd chapter 17. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. And every other tree they could eat from. See, in verse 9 it says, "And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, the middle of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil." Okay, so we know how it went. The serpent seduced the woman to eat of the tree, and the woman seduced her husband to eat of that tree. And the penalty for that is what? Well, verse 17 of chapter 3, it says, "And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life." Verse 19, it says, "In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it thou wast taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return." Now, does this mean that Adam was going to go down into the ground, into hell, and there's fires down there, and he's going to be tormented forever and ever because he was disobedient? No, there's no mention of that. There's no suggestion of being tormented. As the scriptures say, the wages of sin is death. Okay? Death, not torture. God doesn't torture people. It was never in the Mosaic law that He ever wanted to torture people as a penalty, not even for 5 minutes, let alone eternity. What kind of a fiend would do that? To even the most wicked. I mean, for eternity, you know how long eternity is? Okay, they would have to have everlasting life for that. And in the Bible it says that Jesus alone has immortality. He is proven faithful and was given immortality. And although also his followers, it says, shall not be harmed of the second death, which means they will also live forever. They will never die. The second death is the death by judgment of God. It's the eternal damnation Jesus spoke of. The first death is the wages of sin is death. See, that's the difference. And the second death is eternal damnation. We all are subject to the first death because we're all inherited sin from Adam. And we all die because we are all sinners. And the wages and sin, when it is accomplished, brings forth death. The wages of sin are death. So even though we might be so good and pure in heart and love God, still we experience death. These bodies just do not last long. All inherited from Adam, and they're all going back to the dust. And your soul also dies. Yeah, your soul is you essentially. It is you wherever you are. Even animals are called souls. And in Ezekiel the 18th chapter, God says, "The soul that sinneth, it shall die. Fear not them that kill the body, but cannot destroy the soul. Rather, fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell, or kill. Fear not them that can kill the body, but cannot kill the soul." But God can destroy both soul and body in hell, it says. This is where the confusion comes up, because the word hell here comes from a Greek word that is Gehenna. And Gehenna is a location outside of Jerusalem where they used to burn dead bodies of criminals who were not worthy of a proper burial. This is a place where you throw garbage. They're considered garbage. God made them upright, but they themselves sought out many plans. Another question that was brought to me was, how could the devil ever have sinned, knowing that he would die eternally? I mean, why would anybody be that stupid? These are intelligent spirit creatures, right? Why would they be so stupid? Well, for one thing, before there was ever sin in the world, before there was ever rebellion in the world, there was no need for a warning, because no one ever rebelled against their God. There was actually no need for a warning. It was never brought up. So why would God bring it up? That's another question they ask, is why does God tempt a man, giving him a test? Well, there was no test until the rebellion became first, and Satan rebelled against God before Adam and Eve were tested. And then all creatures had to be tested, because there was never a question of whether to be loyal to God or not. Satan is the original liar, slanderer, manslayer. He was the first one to challenge God's rightfulness of ruling. Why should we listen to him? Why do we have to listen to God? And he became rebelling against God, a hater of God, an enemy of God. And well, after that, God had to let him know, hey, this is what the penalties you're gonna have. I'm not gonna kill you right away, but go ahead. Let's see if you're right. Let's see if you can live without me. Let's see if you can live by the morals that you dig up, the ideas that you think are okay. You don't trust me. Let's see what success you have, throwing all goodness to the wind and doing all kinds of evil is what they ended up doing. Um, these angels, they also, in the days of Noah, they took women and made wives of them, and had kids that were the giants. This is where the Greek mythology comes from. Apollos, Mercury, all these gods. They were like gods on the earth, big bullies. They used to roam around the earth like big giants and do whatever they wanted to do and take women, whatever women, they like them big strong guys, right? Well, they just took whoever they chose. And that's why God brought the flood and wiped them out. And after that, those demons were put under chains of dense darkness. They could no more materialize like the other angels and walk around on earth and have cohabit with women. They could no longer do that. So they come as spirits and they try to get close to people, women and other people. They possess people. That's as best as they can do to becoming a material being anymore, is to possess people. And there have been many people that have been demon possessed. Some of them have many demons in them, legions of demons. Yeah, they like to go in and out, easy targets. That's why you don't want to mess around with drugs or satanic things like Ouija boards. People think it's a real kick. It's real cool, and they want to tell me their stories. I don't want to hear your stories. You know, Thankfully and hopefully you've woken up enough to know that messing around with demons is going to bring you a lot of sickness. And your vulnerability to them leaves you vulnerable to possession by other entities of which you have no control over. You don't want to be possessed or even oppressed heavily by demonic forces. You want to have all your senses with you, all your wits about you, all your judgments, facilities working properly. You don't want to be oppressed by the devil. So he told a lie to Eve to get her under his control. They ended up losing God's favor because they chose to go with the devil instead of listening to God. And the penalty for that was not to be burned forever in some kind of fires, but that you shall return to the dust. Nothing. That's what hell is. Nothing. Jesus Christ was in hell for 3 days and 3 nights. Where? In the heart of the earth. He was in the grave. He was dead for 3 days. He didn't preach to spirits then. That was after his resurrection. During that time when he was in the earth for 50 days. Then he went to preach to the spirits which were in prison. When sometime in the days of Noah, they took women for themselves. And Paul says we shall judge angels, So, Satan, though, himself, he has already been judged. Jesus says the ruler of this world is judged already. But God is the judge, So Jesus said that, so he knows God. God is the judge. So anyway, the wages of sin are death. The hell comes from the Greek word Hades, which is the same equivalent word Sheol in the Old Testament, because the apostles, they quoted the Old Testament, and when they quoted the Old Testament and used the word Hades, you go back into the Old Testament, you'll see that word is Sheol. That's the abode of the dead. In other words, that's the grave. In the King James, they translated hell sometimes. They translated grave sometimes, because that's what it is. Both of them are the same. The Greek word Hades, they translated hell or grave. And so same with the Hebrew word Sheol, it's the grave. And it's translated that. Okay, so in the olden times, in the early 1500s, 1300s, they used to say in England they would hell potatoes. That means bury them so they grow more. That's helling potatoes. They used to call it that. But the language has changed. But Satan, he has never changed. He's still the deceiver. Hard at work to deceive people, to make them think that God is evil like he is. God has no part with that. The symbols that are found in Revelation and that Jesus used, the Gehenna, it talks about a garbage dump or the lake of fire, which death will be thrown into the lake of fire. Hell and death are thrown into the lake of fire. That means death will be no more. That's what the lake of fire is. That's what the second death is. Complete damnation, destruction. No more resurrection. They will be tormented there day and night, forever and ever, meaning that that's where they're going to be forever. They're never going to come out of that. Never, no more resurrection, no forgiveness, ever, forever and ever and ever. No forgive. They will never be forgiven, but they will be dead. And once you have experienced the gift of life, I mean, what a prize to lose. You see, God is a giver. He's not a taker. He gives. And if you're not worthy of his gift, you'll lose it. But you know, not but just to be alive means to partake and to share in that gift. What a wonderful thing to be alive. If you lose it, you don't have anything. But what a thing to lose. It's the most precious thing. And you don't want to lose that. Believe me. I hope not.